call the meeting to order. Let the record reflect all council members are present with the exception of Norman Garrett. Now we will go into our department reports, starting with code.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a brief synopsis of what occurred in October. We had 3 new business licenses and 3 closed businesses in that month. We had received 225 payments for business licenses for 2018, which is up significantly since we instituted the online payment option at no cost to the city, by the way, with just a convenience fee paid by the payee. The city marshal removed 22 signs from the roadway, wrote 72 repair cleanup orders, investigated 5 utility and tampering cases, and completed 24 hours of training. The report from the city marshal that you requested in the budget meeting is being worked on, should be available at the next council meeting with the ongoing tally of what's going on with that department. If you have any questions about the balance of the report, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Economic development.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We have kicked off the holiday season with Light Up the Night. That started later shopping hours on Thursday. A number of our shops are experimenting with Sundays and Friday and Saturday later hours. And a number of our businesses have said that the Shop Small Saturday and Black Friday surpassed their highest numbers for Christmas shopping last year. So we're already performing higher than last year, which is a really great sign. We have renovations going on in South Broad Street properties and more to come over the next few months. And then also got word from the developer that the Walton Mill Senior Living Development did receive the funding from the state. So they're planning to begin construction in 2018. So that's a good sign. Then have a list of ongoing projects and our upcoming events, the biggest one being Parade this Thursday night. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Sadie. Electric and Telecom, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to give you an update on our your request on the streetlight project. We've expedited replacing incandescent lights with LED. Once we finish the area, we're driving back at night to find darkened areas and see what we can do to mediate and clear that up and get darkened areas lightened up. Some of the areas that we have run into are in EMC's electric territory. I've already ridden those, sort of like out Michael Etchison and stuff, so we would have to figure out. I would come back to y'all and say, look, this is what we want to do, but they would be a monthly charge for those lights in those areas. The ones in our electric territory would be, just on my budget. But that's moving forward. We got another shipment of LEDs in last week, and we're getting them out there pretty quickly. I want to give you an update on the network redundancy program. We had planned on bringing you a large purchase tonight. We had a meeting scheduled with our backbone provider, Georgia Public Web, middle of last week. They came in with a very interesting offer that could change the way our network's laid out, could also lower the capital outlay to the city for switches and routers. So we pulled that off the agenda, and we are looking into this. We want to fully vet this offer and come back to you at a later date with what we want to do with this. It was very surprising to me. They have new management at Georgia Public Web, and they are changing the way Georgia Public Web does business. And when they gave us that offer, it was very obvious that they're changing the way they do business. This could lower our cost and our monthly recurring cost and lower our capital outlay for our redundancy program. But I want to be fully aware before I make a decision. So we pulled that off, backed up, and we're going to vet that out over the next couple of weeks and hopefully bring you something in January. A couple of other things that I wanted to bring to your attention that were brought up after this report was done. As we've talked about in the past, we're doing retransmission with all the off-air cable or television stations out of Atlanta. 99.9% of the time we extend that out into February, March before those agreements are done. WGCL is not being very friendly, so we might have to make a move on them earlier. I will keep y'all all abreast of that as we move forward. We have some good news, and the mayor can expand on this. We've had these guarantees from Toshiba Westinghouse of payment of their guarantees on the Vogel construction. And we had expected these to space out over several months and actually into years of getting that full payment back from Toshiba. Well, they have agreed to pay everything by December 15th. These were monies that we really, they had promised to pay, but we really weren't sure whether they were going to pay or not. Now they've agreed to pay those full funds up front, and that is great news. Mayor, if you want to expand on that.
Well, they're also paying 100 cents on the dollar.
Yes.
Where they were gonna have to sell it to another company, which we might have got 95 cents on the dollar, which this is gonna mean somewhere around a $45 million windfall for MEAG cities, which constitutes into savings to ratepayers. So it was really good news on the nuclear front, and we're working hard just to make this thing as cost effective as possible. And nuclear is the wave of the future, and it's non-emitting. And Vogtle 1 and 2 had so many overruns, but people have forgotten about that now. And the plant's over 40 years old, and we should get a 60-year life at least out of 3 and 4. So
yes.
It's the way to go. It's costing a lot right now, and the press is making a lot to do about something that we knew it was going to overrun. But anyway, that was good news for the MEAG cities. And Georgia Power and
Georgia Power and the EMCs also.
Right.
We also have a new contractor in place at Vogtle. The Fluor was removed, and the new contractor is the contractor that has a history of bringing in these nuclear projects on time and under budget. They've done several in the Tennessee, Alabama area, and they've done a great job on those. So I'm very encouraged with the movements on Vogtle. You got to remember, right now we get 54% of our energy via nuclear. And by 2035, that'll be closer to 75% of our energy via nuclear.
Right now, our electricity makeup is over 60% of non-emitting.
Yes, or low emitting.
Low emitting.
We've got the hydro off of the Savannah River. Then you've got the nuclear, which are both non-emitting, and then you've got the natural gas plant over at Wansley that's putting out a lot of energy. And there are talks about building another combined cycle natural gas plant at some time in the future. Natural gas staying low and cheap makes it cheaper energy. Let's put it that way. But I'm just very happy about that, and I want to get that out to y'all today. That actually came out today. That was press release from MEAG today. So thank you, Mayor.
Any questions for Brian before we move forward? Thank you, Brian. Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll point out a couple things in the October financial status report. Under the general fund, we are at 20% below where revenues are below expenses. That's due to property tax payments that will start coming in the month of November, which they've started coming in. This month, so you'll see that increase next month. Under the combined utilities fund, the revenues exceed expenses by a good bit. And also on solid waste, those revenues are exceeding expenses as well, so they're where they should be. We did receive the insurance premium tax in October, which is $852,000. Finance Department has also been working on the FEMA reimbursement from the Hurricane Irma storm from a couple months ago, and that's going to be looking to be about $100,000. They're still working on those numbers. Also, y'all are aware that the Finance Department has been working on the 2018 budget for the past couple months. And last thing I'd like to point out is that the City of Monroe did receive the award for the Outstanding Achievement in Popular Annual Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association, which is GFOA. And this is the 5th year in a row that the City of Monroe has received that award. If y'all have anything, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Congratulations to the Finance Department. Y'all set a standard that you don't need to go back on. So I know y'all do a lot of work to keep that award going, so congratulations. Fire Department.
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of October, we had a total of 4 fire calls, 124 EMS calls, 2 hazardous condition calls, 19 service calls, 61 good tech calls, 6 fire alarm calls, totaling out the month for 262 calls total. We did give the Hazelwater County one time Walton County returned that twice to us in that month. We had 13 public relations events, 270 hours of training, and 17 building inspections, and 1 arson investigation during that time. We have to answer any questions y'all have.
Questions? Thank you, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of October, the police department responded to 2,975 calls, answered 1,709 phone calls at the police department, handled 219 court cases, completed 216 training hours. We had 86 Part 1 crimes, 42 Part 2 crimes reported, arrested 72 adults, 2 juveniles, and the community service picked up 160 pounds of trash, and we participated in 17 community events. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much. Solid waste.
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of October, our commercial and residential tonnage went up by 9%. And our yard trim is down to normal collection now. And so our holiday collection reads as for Christmas, Monday, no collection. That's December 25th, 26th, no collection. And Wednesday, we will be picking up Monday and Tuesday customers on Wednesday. Thursday will be Wednesday and Thursday customers. And our New Year's schedule will be Monday, no collection. Tuesday will be Monday collection route. Wednesday will be Tuesday and Wednesday pickup day. And Thursday will be Thursday route. And schedule for Martin Luther King, Monday, no collection. Tuesday, Monday route. Wednesday will be Tuesday and Wednesday route picked up, and Thursday will be on schedule. Thursday pickup.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you very much. Streets and Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Highlighting a few areas in the October report. Our community buildings rented out 6 times. Fleet Maintenance Division completed 84 units of work of either preventative or corrective maintenance. Excuse me. Our Street Division is out doing some right-of-way maintenance as well as running our leaf truck. And it's in full swing, has been since this time last month, and it's taken roughly 3.5 weeks to get one round through the city. And that's only going to increase as far as time goes, because the more they fall, the slower it takes to get those up. So be patient with that truck as those guys are getting around. Our Sign and Markings Division completed 63 units of work, and our build maintenance completed 60. I'll be glad to take any questions regarding the report.
Okay, looks like there's no questions, so thank you very much. Water, sewer, gas, and stormwater, Rodney.
Thank you, Mayor. My water, sewer, and gas report is posted there. Just a couple items of interest. The gas main replacement along Roosevelt. All the mains been installed. Contractor is currently tying over the services. We've got a pre-construction meeting for the Highway 11 gas main removal from the bridge there. It should be taking place the week before Christmas. Contractor is set to start January of 18. And then as far as the CDBG project going, the contractor started. It's going well. Started on 6th Street first. Everybody's working together well. The residents have been really accommodating to the contractors. As many of you know, basically the whole street's coming out, so it's a traffic nightmare, but it's went very well. So I'll take any questions.
Have we communicated on how long this project is going to take to the folks over in that area, 5th and 6th Street?
I believe it's got a 6-month timeline on it, but the way it's moving, I'd say it's probably going to be closer to 6 months. It's slow.
And I know we did a little PR over there.
Yes.
Just want to make sure that everybody understands that. Okay. Any questions for Rodney? Thank you, Rodney. That completes our department reports. We'll move into our committee reports with finance.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one item on the agenda this evening, the approval of the website redesign contract. Yeah, Mr. Bailey's gonna handle that.
Thank you, sir. What we're requesting tonight, we've had kind of, I guess, a little brief history. We've had the current website design now for about 5 or 6 years. We've had a lot of internal issues to the point that we don't have controllability and we don't have the ability to change a lot of things. I think you'll notice the most recent was over the Thanksgiving break. We had no control over being able to put on the home page, on the main page that you go to when you log in, that our hours and when we're closed and when we're opening back up. We've had a lot of complaints from customers as far as it takes so many clicks to get places to actually figure out what you're looking for, to find information that you're hunting. So we've kind of taken it upon ourselves to research and look at different companies that provide the service of designing and building websites. And we sit down and we talked to Minicode and had them do a presentation to us. And theirs was the most functional, provided everything that we needed. It provided quick clicks to different features within the website. It's easy to get to the utilities. It's easy to get to a water department and find out, you know, what rates are, what tap fees or stuff like that. It also had the online where you could pay online. It was easy to get to that. It was easy to just to navigate. It was user friendly. It was also compatible on a mobile device, much more so than what we have, and it also gives us full control internally to be able to update these things without having to go through the provider, and hopefully you hear from them in time. So that's what we're asking for, is approval to contract Minicode to redesign, rebuild, and provide the ongoing support for the website redesign that should take about 3.5 months to go live, and to give us better control of what we present to the citizens. Any questions, I'll be happy to.
Who is the primary person on staff to keep it updated? You somebody could update it on the fly?
Currently, right now, Patrice Broughton.
Okay, and is she going to need to go to training?
They will provide training with this.
With that product?
Mm-hmm. And then we'll set up, essentially each department will have super users that will be able to control their own part of the page, and then she'll oversee, update things as it comes to fold for the city.
And the price on this is pretty good too, less than $15,000 for upfront cost. Yeah. And year of support, you know, $2,700 a year. Correct. You can't beat that. That's from what we've been shopping around.
Training, everything.
Well below what we budgeted.
Correct. It's by far the best price we saw. And the best service. You can flip to, you can look at the and I included the proposal, the different cities. I mean, they're providing website design for close to 5,000 government entities across the nation. Some local, some everywhere. It gives us the ability to we can do anything with it. Much better than what we have.
Okay. For no further questions, I need a motion to present this to full council next week for approval.
I'll offer that motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll present this to full council for approval next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That's all we have on the agenda this evening, Mayor.
Okay. Does airport have anything tonight? Okay. Public Works?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do have one item on the agenda concerning the paving for next year, and I'll ask Jeremiah.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Tonight we have a recommendation to approve the project list for our 2018 LMIG funding. That comes from the state with a 30% match. It's going to total to about just over $205,000. And there's 9 or 10 streets that's included in the packet. Sweet Gum Drive, West Creek Circle, East Church Street from Hammond to the city limits, Ford Street, Nile Street, Olympian Way, Mary Street, Douglas Street, Mathis Street, and Fambro Street. And the work will include some patching, leveling, overlay, and some striping included in that. We do this program through the state every year, and this is just seeking the approval of this project list so we can get it turned in and have the money available to us for 2018. And I'll take any questions.
Anyone on the committee have any questions for Mr. Steele? Do I have a motion that we recommend this to the full council?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Mayor, that's all we have.
Thank you. Utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. One item is the purchase of the water materials for the 2016 CDBG. Mr. Middlebrook, you want to tell him?
Thank you, Mr. Little. This is the, if you remember, I think it was last month, the council elected to, or approved the change order for the 2016 CDBG in the amount of $508,735. That change order was to allow the city to install the water main itself. So this tonight is the material cost is the low bid was $68,568.32. Low bid going to Core and Main.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
Chair, I'll make a motion that this, as presented, be presented to the full council next week for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
If motion passes, and we will recommend that to full council.
Thank you.
That's all we have, Mayor.
Thank you. Public safety.
Got 3 items on the agenda tonight, Mayor. First one is municipal court service agreement with Southeast Corrections, LLC.
I'll take that, Mr. Richardson. What we have here is a contract for probation services through Southeast Corrections, LLC. This is a new contract that's set to begin on January 1st, 2018. Updates their current contract with some additional statutory language going forward. Of course, the city's not responsible for any cost associated with this contract. There's a schedule of probationer fees that's included in the contract that pays for these services.
Are they still doing a good job for us?
Yes.
Probation service?
Yes. Okay. We're happy with the service, and we'd like to continue that relationship.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve renewal of the contract with Southeastern Corrections, LLC.
Okay. There's a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll recommend that to full council next week. The second item is the purchase recruitment class firefighting gear. Leo, you want to take that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Rickey. We're looking for the approval for the purchase of 11 sets of structural firefighting gear. This is for the recruit class, of which 6 of the individuals will be part of the SAFER grant, full-time members coming on in January of next year. Be glad to answer any questions y'all have about it.
How you asked for 11?
Yes, sir.
When you only got 6 going on?
The recruitment class we have right now is currently have that many people, and so those that aren't going to be coming on full-time are going to be coming on to our part-time temp list.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the firefighting gear expenditure.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We recommend that full council next week, Mayor. The third item we have is approval for firefighter cancer policy.
Take that, Mr. Richardson. Before you tonight is approval of the firefighter cancer policy and resolution. Bringing this to you due to changes in state law that go into effect January 1, whereby we need to cover our firefighters for potential cancer issues in the future. This policy is $5,787 for 2018 based on our estimated pool of firefighters. We went with GMA GERMA because we also get into the GMA pool so that we can also get grants and rebates in the future. We shopped it around with a couple other vendors. The price was pretty comparable, but because we're able to get some rebates in the future by entering into this pool, we recommend going with the GMA contract.
Okay. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll offer a motion that we enter into the contract with GMA for the $5,787 for the cancer policy.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? We recommend that full council next week, Mayor. That is all public safety has tonight.
Okay. Does economic development have anything for tonight? Okay. We'll move into items of discussion. We'll have an upcoming public hearing and a rezone and annexation on Vine Street. Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This petition number 17-00459, the applicant Expo Homes is requesting a rezone and annexation for property located on Vine Street on several parcels. Properties currently in the county, or the majority of it's in the county. They're requesting a zoning classification of R1A City. The recommendation of the Planning Commission was none due to the lack of a quorum. A recommendation of the staff is for approval with recommended conditions, same or similar to the last request that Mr. Dixon had before you in the last month's meeting. And he's here to speak to that if anybody wanted to ask him questions or whatever, but that's the upcoming meeting that we have on that.
Okay. Does anyone would like to ask Mr. Dixon any questions on the upcoming rezone annexation? Okay, I guess not. Thank you very much. Item 2, we have 3 appointments for the Historic Preservation Commission. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Up first, you see in your packet we have Kelton Barnes as the first applicant. If Kelton is here, if he can come to the podium. Does anybody have any questions? I know in previous conversations we wanted to bring the applicants forward for a brief Q&A. So we'll open that to the council.
I don't have any particular questions, but what I'd like to see each of the people that's on here tonight for potential appointments, just in 2 minutes, state anything about yourself that particularly as it affects this particular board that you should be working on, and how you fit into, how you think you fit into that.
I moved here about maybe 5 months ago. Guys from Lilburn, and I've enjoyed being here. And I just want to become involved with the city. I want to, I love the old homes. In fact, we bought 2 homes here, and we're fixing them both up. It's just something I like to do. I like, I've been retired now. It's a couple of years, and it's a way of me. I feel giving back to the community. I love the old homes in Monroe. I think they look really beautiful, and I'm sad to see that a lot of them, they're not being kept up. And I would like an opportunity to be able to also help people. I've been doing woodworking probably all my life, part time. I mean, just as a hobby. And I love working with my hands. I just like to be able to, you know, maybe you give something back to this. It's just a beautiful community.
Thank you.
Bye.
Next up, we have Mark Haynes. If you're available, come up. As Mr. Bradley said, if you could just introduce yourself and state what you want to do on HPC.
No worries. My name is Mark Hamas. Good to see y'all tonight. I moved here 60 years ago, and as he said, too, I fell in love with Monroe. My biggest thing is trying to keep our rich heritage going as we progress. And I really see, as far as Monroe growing, continuing to grow here in the next few years, and just wanting, like I said, making sure to keep our historical monuments, our historical houses preserved.
That's good.
Anyone have any questions? Thank you. Good to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Thank you. Next up is Krista Carroll.
Hey, I'm Krista Carroll. I was born here and have lived here for most of my life. My husband and I own a few businesses in town. We have a biodiesel business. We've renovated and turned into a hotel, one of the properties downtown. And we're also renovating, just in the last stages, the old livery building. So that's going to be an event space. And I'm able to see the historic preservation subject, I think, from both sides, or there's probably more than just two sides, but from a property owner who wants the quickest and easiest development and being able to incorporate your own ideas into a historic property, and then from a citizen who wants to preserve the historic integrity and really have our buildings and some of the great things that we have about our old town preserved. So I hope that I would bring a balance to it and be able to objectively look at all the sides and be able to hopefully offer some good opinion. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
And next up, we have Faye Brassey.
I would like to be on the committee because I'm historic, ha. I live on Walton Street, and I've lived there longer than any other person on that street from the 60s. So I have a real affinity for old things. But more than that, I'm not one that wants to save everything. I feel like that there's a time and a place for history and a time for growth. And I have done a lot of upgrading my homes for modern conveniences, and I feel like that's important for a person or a business to maintain and to upgrade for the future. But I also realize there's a problem with a lot of people that can't afford to do that. And in Monroe, we have some places that need to be uplifted, or some that want to be torn down. But we need to work on this as a group. I don't know if there needs to be incentives or whatnot, but it could be a problem. I came from Athens and cried the day they tore down the two twin houses to build the varsity. So I really have a feeling for history, but again, I appreciate you letting me come and work for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll have two appointments for the Planning Commission.
First up, we have Mr. William Russ Bailey. Is he here? David Butler is the next applicant.
Hi, good evening. Like I said, my name is David Butler. My wife and I moved to Monroe about 6 years ago and lived in the lofts downtown and got married. And my wife wasn't a big fan of loft living, so we moved north of town, but we felt disconnected. So we decided to sell the house and move downtown, and we actually live right next door here in the little red house. We have a passion for Monroe. We really love this city and love this community. And I personally want to serve it by working with the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council.
David, I will ask you, I think planning and zoning has become a critical area, a critical thing for us, particularly if we're seeing projected growth plan, things going on, and just wondered if you had any thoughts on what we need to be looking for in the way of planning from the standpoint of growth.
Well, I don't have any background in planning and zoning. I did start reading the 110-page ordinance that was posted on the website. So what I want to do is make myself available to help make those decisions.
Okay.
And I will participate in any training that needs to take place in education in order to do that.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is Randy Camp here, the next applicant?
I'm Randy Camp, and I've lived here all my life. Very proud of this community, and I think it's done amazing things in the last few decades, but I'd like to see the next few decades go in the right direction too. I admit I've got a lot to learn what the Planning Commission does, but I'm willing to offer my time. I've owned and operated several businesses here over the years and been very involved in the local community, and I'd be willing to serve if the council so decides.
Any questions for Mr. Camp? Thank you very much. Next, we have one appointment for the library board.
Peggy Light. Me
Peggy
neither.
Light, I'm a resident, 11 years, and the honest answer to the question is, the why is I was asked. And I said, okay. So I did attend one of their meetings at the library, and I was impressed with what had currently been going on with the remodeling that they've done. It's really gorgeous. And I was also encouraged to see how they were expanding to include more of the younger folks. But also, there was areas in there that were still open to the other citizens, the older citizens. My background is education, primarily special education. I've been in family counseling. I've owned a couple businesses, currently retired. So this fits my schedule really well. But I really do believe that the library in a city, especially a small town, plays a big role. There is something for everybody in that library. And I think sometimes you drive by, you don't go in, you don't pay attention, you just because you're doing other things. But it is impressive. Monroe should be proud of this library. Anything you want, if they don't have it, they're going to get it. So I'm excited to be asked. And plus they said they only meet every couple months and you don't do a whole lot except listen and give ideas. Well, they might be sorry they asked me. I am excited. It was a nice thing to be asked. And I said, sure, why not? Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have 3 appointments to the Downtown Development Authority.
First up is a reappointment for Wesley Sisk. He's asked to be reappointed. I don't think he can make it tonight. So we'll go into the next.
And he actually filled an unexpired term, so he served for less than a year or right at a year. Is that right?
Less than a year.
Less than a year, but he did want to continue his service.
Yes, ma'am. Next applicant is Andrea Gray.
Good evening. I'm Andrea Gray. I'm a local government attorney. Of course, you all realize that by now. I moved to Walton County in 1993, and I graduated from George Walton Academy. I've worked for 12 years as a local government attorney, and the last 2 of those have been with my own firm here in Monroe. And over the last however many years, I've just been so impressed to see downtown Monroe evolve and for it to become a place that, you know, I want to be. I want my family to be here. I love living in our small town. And I'd really be excited to be a part of the Downtown Development Authority to keep the movement going. And in particular, I was excited about the idea to use the education and the experience that I have been blessed with to help my community. I've represented the Joint Development Authority of Jasper, Morgan, Newton, and Walton counties since 2011, and then I've also helped with the Loganville Development Authority. So I think I've got experience that could really help continue with the great things that Sadie's been working on. Any questions?
I think you answered about everything. Thank you.
And the next applicant is Meredith Malcolm.
I'm Meredith Malcolm. I have lived here for 20 years. Married somebody, Mike Malcolm, who's from Monroe, but I have actually lived in Walton County for 20 years total, but worked downtown in Monroe for 20 years. And we just recently moved a year and a half ago in the town. Big move, big change from the country into the middle of Monroe, but have thoroughly enjoyed being here, thoroughly enjoyed the life of just walking downtown and shopping and going to restaurants. My two daughters walk all the time. You've probably seen them all walking, and they spend a lot of time at Scoops. And we just really, really enjoyed it. And I just believe that, you know, living in Monroe, working in Monroe is a wonderful thing to have on your board, and I'd love to be a part of it. Any questions?
Thank you. Next, we have an appointment for the Walton County Board of Health.
Ms. Edith Weaver.
I'm Edith Weaver, and I'm an old Walton County. I've lived in Monroe for a long time. I live about 2 blocks below the First Baptist Church, and that's my church, and I attend regularly. And I've been appointed to the Walton County Board of Health if the council elects to do that. And I've been associated with public health in some way for over half my life. And I'm familiar with all the operations of it. I've worked with environmental health in what they do for us, approving septic tanks and the location of them for property owners and for our restaurant inspections. And I've worked with patient care, the health department, worked for about 34 years and have seen what a vital role public health plays in our community and how it is important and how it changes the lives of a lot of people. And I think that I would be a good board member because I am familiar with the budgets and the money coming in and the operations of the health department, and public health is very dear to me. I've worked with it so much over the years, and I've met a lot of people. I was the registrar and custodian of vital records for about 25 years and worked with the funeral homes and hospitals, and I've worked with all the government agencies, and I know most of the council members know a lot of people in this county. My son doesn't even like to go out to eat with me around here because he says we can't eat because I know everybody and want to talk to them. So I think I would be a good board member.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Eva? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next week we'll have the approval of the Chamber of Commerce contract.
Yeah, I can go ahead and speak to that a little bit. Terry Smiley will be here to give a little bit of a presentation to y'all on the 12th. This is a contract for renewal of their services, $4,800 for the year based on a pro rata distribution of our population. This will run through June 30th, 2018, so we're technically already operating under that. But they do a good job for us, and I think $4,800 is money well spent with the chamber on that contract.
Okay, any questions about that? Okay, next we'll have an addendum to the schedule of fees for Code Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is just a minor matter of adding this fee to our schedule of fees. Right now, when a building permit expires without any activity, they have to re-permit and pay the full fee again. We're wanting to allow 2 renewals at 10% of the original permit fee. And then if it goes beyond that, then we would charge full fees again if necessary. Anyhow, it's just an addendum to that schedule so that we can add this fee.
Any questions? Okay. Next will be to adopt the 2018 council meeting schedule.
You have before you in your packet the schedule of meetings. Of note is January, and this is for discussion here. January 2018, we have 2 meetings scheduled for the 9th and 16th. That's the 2nd and 3rd Tuesday in January. The 2nd, we can do that as tradition, but I know that's right around the holiday, and that's tough for everybody to get back from, and a lot of times tough for staff to get everything prepared right there after the holidays, ready for the 2nd for you. We'll also have the 1 meeting in July on July 3rd.
Any questions? Okay. And item 11 is abandonment of property. Oh, the first reading of the alcohol ordinance.
This is just a discussion of the alcohol ordinance here. We're set for first readings next week, second readings, if you so choose, on the first meeting in January to finalize the alcohol ordinance. This was a very lengthy update by staff and legal counsel. What this does is modernizes completely from A to Z our alcohol ordinances. Really, we hope this will be an economic boost to the city. It's a lot more business friendly. Hopefully we can get good restaurants, dining options and other businesses. This opens up potentially craft brewers who may want to set up within city limits. There's a lot of provisions here that allow us to be a little more progressive but still balanced in our alcohol enforcement at the same time.
And hotels
Absolutely.
take a
Yes.
stronger look at us,
Yes.
hopefully.
Will it, the first reading of this next week include a full reading of the ordinance
If you so wish.
of all those pages?
That's not traditionally how we do it.
When it says reading, what that reading
First
means.
reading, we'll hit we'll hit each article and subsection. If there's something of
But
note
it's
you
not
want to
reading word
discuss.
for word.
Won't read it word
Won't
for
read it
word.
word for word.
That's what I'm just hoping
That's for
to
your
say.
bedtime reading. You can take it home and read it.
It's a very lengthy ordinance.
I know Paul would love to do that.
Then we'll have to start the meeting at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll have abandonment of property.
All right. Before you is a small tract of land.
Mayor,
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
involved in this transaction, so I'm going to leave the room.
But we're not actually taking any, this is just discussion, so we're not taking any vote or anything, so you can stay here tonight.
Okay.
Next week you will have to leave.
What I'm asking you to do is allow the discussion for next week on the abandonment of this small parcel on Hammond Drive. What we have is an existing structure that impedes on city property at Hammond Park. It's been there, I believe, since the early to mid 70s. So in order to kind of clean this up for the seller going forward, I'd like you to consider abandoning this, giving me the opportunity to engage in some negotiations of the price with that seller to just get this cleaned up for the future. It's only 0.526 acres, just a tiny little piece on that southwest corner of the parcel there.
I think it's less than that.
Is it 0.52?
That's the whole tract.
Okay.
It's 0.025.
acres, if I recall. There was a preliminary plat I saw earlier today. 0.025. It is tiny.
By next week, we'll have all the plats and the rest of the documentations in order so that we can make the proper decision on that abandonment. Or
Any questions, comments? Okay. We have two items requiring action tonight. One's public hearing on 2018 budget, all funds. So I'll open it up to entertain a motion, entertain a comment from the audience. Does anyone like to speak in favor of the 2000 budget? Okay, 2018. Yeah, the next year's budget. Okay, would anyone like to speak against the 2018 budget, all funds? Okay, we'll close that part of the public hearing and
I can move forward just a brief overview.
Okay.
If you want to hear that. After we've had our budget meetings over the past week, went back and rebalanced the budget. No use of fund balance. Total citywide budget of $57.4 million. General fund budget is $11.5 million. Combined utilities is $38.6 million. Solid waste, $4.6 million. Those are the major funds within that combined citywide budget. This is, like I said, a balanced budget moving forward, and all the details are here in the documents and available for public inspection.
okay. We'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt the 2018 budget.
Okay, have a motion.
Second.
Have a second by Ms. Malcolm. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item number 2 is the second reading of the hotel motel ordinance update.
I'll take that, Mayor. Just as a brief reminder, this is just simply an update of the ordinance so that we can fix a couple of definitions and issues that DCA asked us to amend to our hotel motel excise tax ordinance. This is the second reading. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 90, Article 7, Section 90-231 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Monroe, Georgia regarding the city's hotel motel excise tax and for other purposes. The Mayor and the Council of the City of Monroe hereby ordain as follows. Article 1, Chapter 90, Article 7, Section 90-231 of the Code of Ordinances is hereby amended by removing Section 90-231 in its entirety and replacing with the following in lieu thereof. From Exhibit A, we have Section 90-231 definitions: city, due date, destination, marketing, organization, estimated tax liability, finance director, folio, guest room, hotel, innkeeper, lodging provider, monthly period, occupancy, occupant, permanent resident, person, private sector nonprofit organization promoting tourism, conventions, and trade shows, rent, state authority, tax, tourism, product development. Article 2, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Article 3, this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the Mayor and City Council of Monroe, Georgia. This constitutes the second reading, Mayor.
Okay. Any questions for Paul? Okay, if not, we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Ms. Malcolm.
Second.
Second by Mr. Adcock. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. And that concludes our meeting tonight. We need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Adcock.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bradley. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.